Don't let the pixie dust fool you. Disney is currently $512 million deep in losses. For so long, we've seen Disney as an unstoppable media giant, but it turns out the only thing that can kill this giant is itself. In this video, we'll be going over everything that went wrong with Disney Plus and how online streaming is starting to look like a lost cause. Stick around until the end of the video to find out all the ways Disney plans to save itself using your money. Streaming history. To fully understand what went wrong with Disney Plus, we have to go way back to the late 2000s. In the days of old, where cable providers such as Verizon, Charter, and Frontier reigned supreme, Netflix was about to shake up the industry.
I'll do it myself.
The consumer market was slowly getting fed up by the growing cost of cable TV, which was oftentimes riddled with commercial breaks. Add to that the fact that most consumers during the time were growing tired of missing their favorite TV show's time slot, and it was obvious something had to be done to keep these cable companies honest. Enter Netflix, a company that promises your movie or show how you want it, when you want it, and without all the ads clogging your machine. That selling point alone was enough for many consumers to jump from cable TV to on-demand streaming services. But Netflix just gave more and more reasons to grab a membership, because as convenient as Netflix was, it was actually also much cheaper than cable TV itself. For a while, Netflix reigned supreme at the peak, but after seeing how profitable and popular streaming can be, other companies jumped on the cash boat. Huge companies like HBO, Paramount, Hulu, Disney, heck, even WWE started their own on-demand streaming services with the same business model as Netflix. But little did everyone know, the cracks in this money boat would start to show once everyone was aboard. The problem with streaming. As it turns out, online video on demand, or VOD, wasn't the most profitable business model. Netflix had gotten into the market by lowering its subscription price compared to cable TV, but this lower subscription price was actually a huge thorn in their side. Low subscription fees and no ads meant that streaming services weren't gaining as much profit as regular cable TV. Slowly, the reason for why cable TV is the way it is was slowly presenting itself. Netflix dealt with this low-income model by instead focusing on rapid expansion. More customers buying into the service meant more money, and oh boy, was Netflix betting on that money. Netflix relied on the fact that they were the only competitor in the market at the time, and they didn't realize how big the effects of having a competitor would be. Slowly, streaming sites such as Hulu, HBO, and Disney would start eating up market share and dividing the customer base among fans. Streaming services were now fighting over their customers, choosing how to handle the customers that would immediately jump ship and unsubscribe once they got bored with what a streaming service had to offer. Stockholders were getting worried with the slow rate of return and plummeting market value, and so they had to act fast. Each streaming service showed off their own unique intellectual properties, IPs for short, to retain viewership. HBO had Game of Thrones, Netflix had Stranger Things, and Prime Video had The Boys.
Come on now, you guys.
A few minutes later.
You stay back. All of you, stay back. You stay the back or I'll laser you, goddammit. I'll laser every one of you.
But none of them could hold a candle to the IP chimera that is Disney. Enter the mouse. Disney was so hypnotized by the external success of streaming services that it decided to open up its own streaming service as one of the latest challenges in the VOD market. Disney is a large company that has grown into one of the biggest collections of brands ever. Famous IPs such as Star Wars, Marvel, Pixar, and Fox had its own collective fan base, so it's reasonable to assume that Disney Plus would be a hit, and not to mention the obscenely low price point for subscriptions that Disney had. Surely, this was a surefire success, right? The launch of Disney Plus was successful, but it also took its sweet time expanding to other countries, effectively limiting their customer base to the USA and slowly losing whatever hype their streaming service had going for it. Disney Plus fell prey to all of the common problems that the other streaming services had already, including customers that would stop subscribing once they've seen all that they're interested in. Stockholders were unhappy, and Disney had to do something quick. Their answer? 2 simple steps. Increase income while cutting costs. Increase income. Increasing income was simple. Disney planned on leveraging their already successful IPs and using it to convince their potential subscribers to stay subscribed for the long term. That's why usually when a big show on Disney Plus gets done with its finale, already alluding to a future project or releasing a trailer for their next big release. Another change that Disney Plus enacted was the introduction of a premium tier in their subscription. As if following the steps of its forefathers in cable TV, Disney Plus started running a subscription tier that has ads popping up every now and then while you watch.
Assemble.
Whopper, 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 whopper.
That's right, the very reason that consumers stepped away from cable TV has now been reintroduced to streaming services. This pricing strategy is enough to convince potential subscribers to spend just a little bit more for that premium pricing. You get ad blockers, Disney gets $3 more of your money. And in addition to this pricing strategy, Disney Plus has also partnered up with ESPN and Hulu to give a value pack subscription that entitles you to all 3 at a lower price point. Subscribing to online streaming services is slowly getting more and more complicated, but Disney Plus had to pay rent somehow. Cost cutting. Income and cost go hand in hand in any business, so it's important to pay attention to both. All those IPs that Disney has streaming on their platform all cost a licensing fee, something that Disney has to continuously pay for as long as the show stays on streaming. Even if no one watches the show or if the IP itself doesn't cost much, Disney still has to pay the actors involved in the show their residual pays. This licensing cost is the reason why most shows that don't meet their ROI are taken off Disney Plus. No show is safe from being cut from Disney Plus's library, even shows that they themselves produced but fell on deaf ears. Shows like Doogie Kame Aloha MD, Spiderwick Chronicles were all cut just a season or 2 on streaming because of their poor numbers. Personally, I wish they gave Spiderwick Chronicles another chance. In order to save production costs on original IPs that were bound to fail, Disney instead focused on the things that consistently sold. That's how we end up with brand fatigue. We, even Disney, all have to accept that Disney Plus is hurting our beloved franchises. Disney Entertainment has many IPs, but the undoubted top 3 would be Pixar, Star Wars, and of course Marvel Entertainment. And Mickey Mouse is milking all 3 cash cows dry. Star Wars and Marvel specifically have had great box office outings and almost guaranteed a high viewership no matter the content. Disney thought it would be a great idea to give every one of their IPs a mini-series or 2, or 3, or 11 and counting. Disney Plus began churning out shows that were more mediocre than the next, slowly tarnishing the good name that Marvel and Star Wars had, from complaints such as horrible CGI,
What the f is this?
and even worse writing.
Eat my hammer!
What?
The criticisms were endless and affected 2 of their greatest IPs even outside of Disney Plus. Marvel movies stopped doing well due to the convoluted timeline of releases, and Star Wars was being treated as a joke. But with the recent shows that Disney Plus has slated on the release schedule, it seems that things are looking up for Disney Plus, and only time will tell if Disney Plus can dig itself out of being Disney-minus.